everyone, thanks for joining me today. As always, I am recording this now while I have lots and lots of energy, and you can watch this later in your own time. And I hope to have all of these on YouTube by the end of the week, so again you can reach for these kind of short quick tutorials whenever you feel the need. So I suppose last week we covered senior nutrition. It links very, very nicely into digestion at the moment. So generally, I suppose during a time of stress, or if anyone's experiencing a lot of stress right now, or their eating patterns have changed dramatically, you may see some effects on your digestion. So you may be experiencing things like pains in the stomach. You may be having, diarrhea, you may be having constipation, you may be having a lot of gas, you may be having a lot of belching, you may be having heartburn. So these are all kind of just areas along the digestive tract where we may have problems when we are in a time of stress, or when there has been a big upheaval in our life. Digestion or digestive system is known, particularly in our gut, it's kind of known as the second brain. So it kind of makes sense that whatever is going on in our brains is also reflected in our gut and our digestion, and vice versa. So today basically is aimed at just giving you some top tips on how to alleviate any symptoms that you may be having, whether it's burning sensation, vomiting, nausea, appetite waning, any digestive problems through the tract. It may help you identify where you're having those problems, whether it's in the upper and the esophagus region, from here to the stomach, whether it's in the stomach area itself, or whether it's further down into the lower and larger intestine as well. So where to start? So I have a good few pointers listed here, and I suppose for the most simplest one I can start with is heartburn. People may be experiencing heartburn at the moment. Generally heartburn can be triggers from things like maybe upping caffeine, upping the alcohol, upping the spicy foods. Maybe you're eating a lot of processed foods. Maybe you're being very, very good, but heartburn and stress tend to go hand in hand. So sometimes if this is a new thing for you, a simple way, sometimes a heartburn is just an indicator that you may be dehydrated. So if it's mild heartburn and it's relatively new, it could be just an indication of some mild dehydration. So water will certainly help. It helps every way, so it's definitely no harm to increase the water intake. So have water on its own, have water with some lemon, have water infused with some fruit. For some of us, myself included, getting water in can be a difficult thing through the day. So water can certainly help. Try to reduce your alcohol intake, try to reduce your caffeine intake, try and increase your herbal tea intake. Generally with herbal tea, anything that is a fruit-based, anything is fruit-based herbal teas, sometimes that can cause maybe some acids in the stomach, and it may be harder for you with those. So I would maybe stick to things like green tea, licorice, apple, fennel. All of these ingredients in herbal tea are very good to soothe. Ginger is good as well, just to soothe the tract. And the only way to do this is maybe to buy a multi kind of pack that have some of these different flavors. Try and avoid the fruit-based varieties if you have a weaker digestive system at the minute, and just try them out, and replace them as opposed to having a tea, or replace them in terms of one of your coffees. So again, I'm not recommending drastic steps. This is definitely not a time. We've enough drastic change going on, but it may be something that you can play around with. So if you're having 2 coffees in a day, try and substitute one. Have your coffee early in the morning so that it's digested. It's not going to prevent you from sleeping that night. And maybe your afternoon coffee that you'd normally have, try and introduce herbal tea. So that's just one tip in terms of the water and the fluids. Try and tone down the alcohol. I know I've been talking to a lot of my friends, and especially kind of last week, the week before, it was very easy just to get into the habit of having a drink every night, having a glass of wine every night. But ultimately, if we are going to be in this period for a longer period of time, 4 to 6 weeks of that will start to change your digestion quite dramatically. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to help ourselves for the long haul. So try and keep your alcohol intake to your weekend. So your weekend can be whenever that wants to be, whether it's a Friday, whether it's a Sunday. I know I enjoy mine. Used to be on a Sunday night because I'd be off on a Monday, but I like to have a drink or two now with my family on a Saturday night, and for me, that's what suits me, so there's just a tip there. So the next thing I suppose I want to talk about is your triggers. So when I'm talking to clients about digestion, things come up like IBS, heartburn, GERD, gastritis. There's lots of different ailments of the digestive tract, and I suppose one of the first things that we look for is, what are your triggers? So some of the common triggers, and I'm not going to list them all here, some of the common triggers are the ones we know, coffee being number one, and I'll come to this in a second. I'll go back to these in a second. So triggers: coffee, alcohol, fizzy drinks. When we come to foods, some of the common culprits can be leeks, onions, garlic. For a lot of people, tomatoes can be an irritant as well. Spicy foods. So if you've been overdoing it on the Just Eat app, just maybe have a look at the types of foods you've been ordering or that you're making at home. So maybe there's certain spices that can be triggering an activity or an intolerance, and fizzy drinks as well, and I think I mentioned that already. So when it comes to triggers and hand in hand with foods, the one thing I will, and I talk about this all the time, is your load factor. So what I mean when I say load factor is if you're having too much of the one thing. So if you're having 2 or 3 coffees in a day and you're having that every day, so the load has now jumped from maybe one what used to be 1 coffee to now 3 coffees and every day. So if you have enjoyed your foods and they've never caused a problem in the past, one of the things that you may need to look at is your load factor on these foods. So onions, garlic and leek, and you're having them, you're having, you've never had fizzy drinks before, and now all of a sudden you're having a lot of fizzy drinks. So your load factor there has increased. So you've a lot of sugar in the body, and you've a lot of what we call chemical sugars or unnatural sugars, which can wreak havoc with your digestion. What else? Alcohol, the same. So if you've gone from not really having too much to drink, or maybe having a drink at the weekends, to now maybe having something every night, you might necessarily notice this straight away, but you might start to see over a period of a few weeks this will affect your digestion, and also affect your bowel movements. So some people may be having or fluctuating between diarrhea at the moment, and again, if this is a new symptom for you, this can be a sign that something in the digestive tract is not working, and this can be down to just your load factor. So if you've increased the same amount of one food or one drink and you've been having that consistently for maybe 7 to 14 days now, identify. So that brings me on to my next point, which is your variety of foods. So I would strongly suggest to have a look at your daily intake of your meals at the moment. Are you having the same breakfast every day? Are you having the same evening meal every day? Are you having the same snacks? So what I would suggest, and what has worked since I've changed during my own diet during my studies, the last probably 2 going on 3 years now, is I used to be prone. Every day. I used to have porridge every day. I used to have the same salad every day. I used to have, pretty much the same dinner every day. And one of the things that I really enjoyed when I started to train in health coaching was this idea of the variety of foods. So if you're health conscious, you want to keep fit, you want to keep healthy, you want to make sure you don't gain too much weight, this is where you need to maybe introduce a variety of foods that are a lower calorie option, but that you're getting the taste, number one, you're getting nutrients, number two, and you're not developing what we call an intolerance to these foods. So if you're eating the same thing all the time, that you're not developing an intolerance to those. One of the common things in our household, that we can see generally if we're having too much of is bread. So if you're having toast for breakfast, if you're having a sandwich for lunch, you're having your dinner and maybe you have a toast for a snack at night time, your load factor there, you can, and if you're doing that consistently every day, you can see where you may experience pains. Sometimes you may experience bloating, which is a common factor as well. So maybe to pick out those areas for maybe the breakfast, to have a different breakfast, maybe it's porridge, maybe it's eggs, maybe it's eggs and a rasher, different things. Maybe it's a juice, maybe it's a smoothie, maybe it's nuts, maybe your lunch, instead of a sandwich you have a soup, or you have a warm meal, you have a rice, you have different ingredients there that are going to give you that feeling of satisfaction and fullness. But because you're eating such a variety of foods, your stomach and your digestive tract is going to accept these a lot better. So maybe if you work off a 3-day period where you have 3 different breakfasts, 3 different lunches, and 3 different dinners, and you rotate them during your week, and leave your treat days to your Saturday and Sunday, where you can maybe have something out of the freezer, or maybe have the dessert, have the alcohol, have your coffee. So that may be where you might see some aids then in terms of your digestion. My next point, I suppose, would be the food diary. So as health coaches, the food diary is something, when we're meeting our clients for the first time, we normally recommend them to do either a sleep diary if it's sleep related problems, or if it's a food diary, hand in hand. And we generally recommend to do a food diary for at least 7 days. And it's now, when you've got time in your hands, is the best time to do a food diary, because you may, I suppose a food diary helps you to see very, very clearly what kinds of foods you're having on a certain day, how you felt on that day. Maybe that's the day you didn't get out for your walk, maybe that's the day you didn't take too much exercise, maybe that's the day you didn't sleep well, maybe that's the day you didn't have a bowel movement. So if you're doing this consistently over 7 days, you're very, very quickly able to see a pattern there. And you may be very surprised yourself to see, oh, okay, I'm having a curry every day, or I'm having the same breakfast every day, or God, I'm having a drink every night, or God, I'm having way too much coffee, or God, my water intake is really, really poor, my exercise is really, really poor. Diary is excellent. If you would like me to send you kind of a template of a food diary, I am more than happy to send them to you. So just simply send me your email address. I'm on email, it's Katrina, CATRIONA @reveal, REVEAL.ie, and I'll be able to send you a template so that maybe you can get started, or you may already have some apps on your phones. There's lots of apps out there. So where you can start to see a picture if it's a thing that digestion is really an issue for you at the moment. So I suppose just to finish off then, yes, I have one more point before I finish off. I just have some, again, there's lots and lots of foods that can eat the digestive tract, but really and truly it's a trial and error, because everybody is different and everyone's system is different. So some of the foods that I would recommend in last week's topic on senior nutrition, when you have a weaker digestive system, one of the best things you can take is a bone broth. So I already have my recipe up there for the chicken bone broth. It's absolutely super, and basically it's the rendered down connective tissue and bones from chicken, which is generally the one I used. In that, that contains gelatin. So when the gelatin is rendered down, gelatin contains 2 important amino acids, glutamine and glycine. And basically if you have an inflamed bowel wall, or if you have any problems with your lower digestion, so anywhere in your lower intestine or your gut, Basically what that helps to do is it helps to reinforce your intestinal wall. So it helps to reduce prolonged inflammation. So prolonged inflammation in the digestive system over time can lead to more problems. So bone broth is a perfect way for you to get nutrients into you, a perfect way to get electrolytes into you for hydration and to hydrate. So if you prefer to have something of a warmer drink as opposed to having water, bone broth is the way to go. Second food that I would definitely recommend, it's very easy to digest, full of omegas, is your salmon. Wild salmon, if you can get your hands on it. Tin salmon is not too bad. So again, if you've only tin salmon in the press, absolutely, it's brilliant. The omegas in there really, really help to work with strengthening up the digestion. It's easy to digest and also has a lot of essential fatty acids in there which help along the digestive tract. My next one would be your green vegetables. So your green vegetables help to add what we call bulk or fibre to the digestive tract. So if you are constipated, if you're having difficulty going to the bathroom, definitely try and introduce. So a lot of you, if you're following me on Instagram, you know I'm a big advocate of the green smoothies and green juices, preferably smoothies because it a little bit more gets your digestive system to work a little bit better, do a feeling of fullness. So any way you can get your green veggies in to add some bulk into the digestion. So again, what you're trying to do is help your digestive system keep pushing and keep moving. I suppose for your lower gut, so probiotics, so yogurt, natural yogurt, kefir. But basically what this helps to do is they're full of good gut bacteria, which help to I suppose multiply the good gut bacteria in your intestines, which helps to digest your food. So your food is not going undigested and it's not fermenting in your gut. If it's fermenting in your gut, the most common thing you may experience is a lot of belching. You may experience some nausea and you may experience the urge to vomit. That's kind of a more severe case. So again, there's certainly some products that you can take, particularly natural yogurt, to help increase the supply of good gut bacteria. Particularly at this time, if any of you are on antibiotics at the moment, again, that's can wipe out your good gut bacteria, and most of you know this as well. So again, talk to your pharmacist, talk to your herbal guy or girl. There's lots of them in herbal remedies who may be able to help you if you're looking for more a herbal remedy. My last one I have here is ginger. Ginger is really, really good. It's an anti-inflammatory, and turmeric is an anti-inflammatory. So if you're getting these in root form, I'm generally picking up mine in Dunn stores at the moment, and I always kind of have, and they're just there and they're brilliant. It's great if you can freeze the turmeric root and the ginger root. And really, this is so handy because what you can do then is take them out of the freezer, great, whether it's into a warm drink, whether it's into your food, because let's face it, it's quite hard to take in the turmeric and ginger. It can be a bit of a strange taste. So if you keep it in the freezer and you freeze it into your foods and freeze it into your drinks, if you're having it in drinks, it's really nice with honey, and just sip on those, let it infuse for a couple of minutes and just sip on those. Really, really good anti-inflammatory, which helps to protect your intestines, it helps to protect your stomach lining, and it also helps to protect the esophagus. So again, all that pipe which runs down to your stomach as well. And if there's one more thing I just want to finish on, I'm finishing this last 10 minutes. Another top tip is simply to eat when you are calm, eat when you are relaxed, and chew your food. So chew your food kind of slowly. This allows the digestive enzymes in the mouth to work. So you've already got a good bit of a digestion. You're basically making it easy for the stomach and the lower intestines to digest your food. So if you find your stomach is just not where it is, not what it used to be, you're not digesting your foods as you normally would, make it easier on your digestive system by eating when you're relaxed, eating when you're in your calm, eating when you're ready to eat, eating slowly and chewing your food. So by doing that, you're getting a lot of digestive enzymes in the mouth, digesting your food So it's taking the pressure off your system, and that's just making it easier for your foods to digest. So what I'm going to do today, you'll probably see some posts coming up to support what I've just said, to give you these tips to watch and to try out at home. As mentioned, I'm on email most days, generally every day. If I don't get back to you straight away, I will get back to you at some point. I am on the mobile, so it's 086 866 882. And also, if you're interested, and you may see this, I have a new online group class starting Tuesday the 7th of April, and I will have online consultations rolling out this week. These are paid consultations, and they'll be through my normal booking system, for anyone who wants a more in-depth one-to-one consultation in different areas. And those posts will all be following through the week. So again, it's a challenging time, but it's an exciting time, and I hope you're finding this content useful. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice lunch time and enjoy the rest of your day, and I will keep connected with you soon and see you soon. Bye.